How you doing? My name is Fred Lomangino, and I'm a physical therapy student with Florida Gulf Coast University. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit of workstation ergonomics and how we want to set up our own appropriate workstation for the home or the office. So today I'm going to go over a few things like our goals for the afternoon, and let's start off with those. So our goals for today are I'm going to be wanting to be able to identify, I want you guys to be able to identify the risks in using an unsound workspace for long periods of time. It's a really big, important thing. We all sit in desks at our jobs for long periods, and there are strategies we can take to give ourselves a little less risk when it comes to getting diseases of the carpal tunnel or diseases of the prolonged sitting that we all do. We want to identify musculoskeletal issues that can arise in improper workstation ergonomics. Our next goal is to learn and identify improper workstation ergonomics at a basic level. So we're going to be able to looking at some different types of workstations that we have today. I have an okay example here. I'm going to be looking at chairs, trying to figure out the right angles to use and what we should be looking for when we're looking at our strategies for that. And the next goal we have is gaining an understanding of how to appropriately set up an ergonomically sound workstation. So I'm going to be able to show all of those things, and I'm going to show you the strategies of what you want to use when you're looking to set up your own at home. And the last goal for today is going to bring the education course to the workplace and optimize your current workstation for proper ergonomics. So at the end of the course, there's going to be a small assignment that I want to have you guys do where you take a picture of your current workstation, and then after the course, you take another picture, like a before and after kind of photo, and that way we can see how different your workstation goes from before and after. So our next slide is going to be, I'm going to talk about some conditions. So the first one is carpal tunnel syndrome, which is a really popular one. We all hear about it. It's a disease of the carpal area, which is the forearm and hand. There's a space here, and it contains a median nerve and a bunch of tendons, and that space gets clogged and contract, and you can have pain and burning sensations through the hand, or even sometimes up to the shoulder. It's really identified by compression of the median nerve that occurs within structures of the distal hand. Additionally, the thenar muscles, which are the muscles in the thumb, they can also be affected by compression of the median nerve through the recurrent nerve that goes through and attaches very superficially here on the surface of the thumb, basically. So when we have appropriate ergonomics in our workstations, we can prevent these issues from occurring. Nextly, I have a little bit of a description of your, if you're following on with your packet, of the work of the carpal tunnel and what it looks like on the inside. Show you a little bit of a proper workstation and how we want to set up our appropriate workstation. So here I have a small sample. We have our computer, our monitor, our keyboard station, and our mousing area. So what we want to do for this is we want to have this relatively close to the edge of the table. We want to have that mouse pad. We want to have a wrist support, because the big thing is we want to keep our wrist flat. And you guys will be able to see that. When I turn, that wrist is going to be neutral instead of up like this. So if I took this away, when I'm mousing, it's going to be arched. And that's what's going to cause a little bit of stress going on in here from flattening, or from being, when the extensors of the wrist are overstretched and over tight. So that's another big key thing. We want to keep that wrist flat. So when I put the wrist support back, we have a nice, relaxed, straight wrist. So our next thing we're going to talk about is the keyboard. This one is angled, but what I want to do is I want to make that straight with the hand so we can make sure that our hand isn't tilted like this. You can already see my extensors on my hand here getting activated just from that. So what I want to do is curve that a little bit so we have a nice, even placement with the hand. And I have our chair arm. If I back up a little, we have the arm of our chair level with the table, so that when it's here, it flattens out. We have a nice, even hand placement. So the next thing we have is our monitor. We want to make sure that the top of it is pretty even with our eyes. Mine's actually quite low, so what I can do to change that is I can put a couple books underneath. So, like so. So now we have our monitor even with our eyes. I want to tilt this back about 15 degrees. That way it's supposed to be level with the eyes and it has a trajectory for us to be able to view it correctly. So again, we talked about our wrist support, talked about our angle with our arm of our chair, and later on in the course we're going to talk about more chair ergonomics. As you can see, I have a pillow back here for my head, so that when I'm relaxed, I can actually relax my head onto that pillow, keep the head at a neutral position while I'm doing whatever work I have to do in my mousing and everything. So I'm perfectly accessible for all of my workstation issues. So that was my little intro video to the start of my community education project. So if you have any comments on how I could teach this any better, please let me know, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Thank you very much.